Philippians chapter 2, verses 12 and 13. It says, "Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling." Verse 13, "For it is God which worketh in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure." This is a fairly common scripture, and verse 12 in particular, where it says, "Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling," is fairly common. There's a juxtaposition here. You have, on the one hand, it says, "Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling." The next breath, verse 13, it says, "For it is God who works in you, both to will and to do of his good pleasure." And so he's saying two things. Number one, you have to put in the effort. You have to persevere, prevail, be consistent, stay the course in faith, in service, doing what you're supposed to be doing in the face of disappointments, in the face of discouragements and apparent failings, inadequacies, and what have you. You have to continue to put in the effort to work out your own salvation, to actualize your vision. But in fact, it is God ultimately, through your faith, through your effort, it is God ultimately who works in you, both to will and to do of his good pleasure. So ultimately, you put in the faith, put in the work, but it's actually God who uses your faith to actualize the vision he has put in you. I want to share with you a vision the Lord gave me himself. This is several years ago, and I stood in the vision he showed me. At the top of a hill, he showed me a mansion, a great edifice, great structure. He said, "This mansion, this edifice, in it is everything you want in life. Everything you're going to become, achieve, and attain in life is in this mansion." And I was so overjoyed and empowered when I saw it, and immediately I made to advance toward it and kind of circle around from where I was in the vision, where there was people there and structures and shrubs and what have you. And immediately I circled around to get on a better street or road or pathway to advance toward the vision. Lo and behold, it vanished. I couldn't see it anymore. I turned around me. I hadn't gone anywhere. I just circled around to begin to pursue it, and all of a sudden it had vanished. I couldn't see it anymore. It just dawned on me I had lost the vision that he had given me. All my hopes, all my dreams, all my aspirations had vanished with that vision. And so I was crestfallen, extremely disappointed. And in the midst of all that, all of a sudden a strong wind begins to blow, a very strong wind, extremely strong wind begins to blow against me. And it's blowing against me, and it's so powerful, it's moving me, it's carrying me with it and pushing me places I don't want to necessarily go. But I can't fight. The wind is so strong. It's pushing me away from my familiar environment, pushing me away from my familiar surroundings, pushing me away from my familiar context, from where I felt if it were possible, at some point I may be able to rediscover the path and find my way clear to, again, materialize that vision he showed me again. But this wind from I don't know where was pushing me away from all that familiar environment and adding to my frustration. And it was so strong, kept pushing me, and this wind kept blowing and blew me up until it blew me to the top of a hill. So as it blew me and dropped me on this hill, again I was totally befuddled, and I looked around me and whoa, the vision he had shown me, the mansion that he had shown me a while ago, which had vanished, all of a sudden was right in front of me. I was like, wow. And then which I thought I'd lost it was right there. I was right in front of it. And all of a sudden the voice comes from heaven. And the voice says, "Now you know the devil cannot destroy your vision. He can only make you lose sight of it." And this has stayed with me over the years, and I wanted to share it with you. Again, he said, "Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling." In the very next breath he says, "But it is God who works in you, both to will and to do of his own good pleasure." I don't know what God has told you, what promise has given you, that all of a sudden, with all good intentions, with all your good effort, all your faith, all your effort, all of a sudden has vanished. All of a sudden is non-existent. You no longer can see it. It's no longer discernible. And you're discouraged. You're blaming yourself. Maybe I've sinned. Maybe I wasn't good enough. Maybe something I did, that the vision has vanished. That things are not moving the way you thought they should have. Things are not moving the way you thought they could have, and so on and so forth. It's all your fault. We naturally blame ourselves, and sometimes it may be your fault to some extent. But the truth of the matter is this: is that you have to continue to believe in Him, continue to stay the course, and continue to do the things that you're supposed to be doing while you're waiting on Him. And let His wind blow you, sometimes in directions, sometimes to an environment out of your comfort zone. But in His wisdom, it's taking you nearer to the materializing of that vision He had shown you at the beginning, which you don't see anymore. And ultimately, you will repossess your vision. It will materialize. It will become evident again. The devil cannot destroy your vision. What he can do is destroy you. What he can do is take you away from it. He cause you to walk away from it and walk away from God, but he can't destroy the vision though. Remember what happened to Zechariah, the father of John the Baptist, who had been serving God all these years, and his wife Elizabeth. He was a priest. They had been praying for a child many years now. He was advanced in years, so was his wife, beyond the age of childbearing, and lo, they had no child. That vision, as it were, their expectation was no longer feasible, was no longer visible. They couldn't see the possibility of it happening anymore, and for all intents and purposes, that vision had vanished. But he kept doing God's will. But he kept working out his own salvation, kept going to church, kept performing his duty as a priest. And then one day, as the wind kept blowing him further and further and further away in terms of his years, his advancement in years, and being displaced from the place of possibility where this could happen. Ultimately, the wind blew him to a place where, to a position, to an experience where that promise of God materialized to him again in the person of angel Gabriel, who appeared on the right hand side of the altar as he prayed in the temple for the people. And Gabriel said, look, your prayers have been heard by God. That promise is still in play. You're going to have a son. His name shall be called John. He shall be a prophet of God. So again, keep doing what you're doing. The devil cannot destroy your vision. All they can do is make you lose sight of it, make you walk away from it, make you walk away from God, and work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. But it is God who works in you both to will and to do of His own good pleasure. Hallelujah.